What's going on, everybody? You're listening to Wrestling Inc.'s Monday Night Raw coverage, May 1st. No Glenn Rubenstein. I'm Dennis Farrell alongside Matt Morgan and Raj Giri. What's going on, guys?
And Glenn, I know you're watching this. That was a silent cheer from the millions and millions of non-Glenn fans out there cheering that you're not on tonight. and they're going to tell you tomorrow that nobody saw you sitting at Rampside either with the Matt Morgan likes me sign above your head.
So, yeah, Glenn is at the SmackDown Live event tonight, and he'll be at the taping tomorrow night.
Which nobody will still care about.
Yeah, well, probably not.
I'm just kidding, Glenn.
So, overall tonight, what was your thoughts on tonight's Raw?
Go ahead, Rush.
I was pretty bored until the end, and I thought the main event was fantastic. I thought that match was awesome. And so, like, that made the show for me. I had heard that in Alexa Bliss's promo at the beginning. I thought both those things were the highlights, and the rest was just there.
Alexa Bliss murdered tonight. I was sitting there watching it with my wife, and she's like, that girl, do you know who she is? And I'm like, yeah, Alexa Bliss. And she's like, no, she's the very first Arnold bikini competition winner. I guess she's the first teenager to ever win the Arnold Classic bikini division. I didn't know that.
No, really?
She became a wrestler. I didn't know that. And I was like, well, she's like 4 foot nothing. My wife was saying, I'm like, yeah, but listen to her talk. It's a difference of she makes herself bigger and presented as like a bigger star with how comfortable she is on that mic. I mean, she just looks so smooth out there, you know?
I think she's the most comfortable woman in the division by far on the mic.
By far.
You know, every time I'm on with you guys, I always say this. She's the only one that really projects herself to be the champ. She may be the smallest one, but she's the only one I can buy right now as a legitimate champion in that whole women's division.
Yeah, if you're not watching the show, let's say, and you're clicking through the channels and you stop, people are going to stop and go, hang on, that's a women's champion? How is that possible? That looks like a little girl that should be trick-or-treating still. But that said, that's how, if you got to stay and watch her, and you'll see it for yourself, how good she is in that ring, how great her timing is, her facials, her body language is down pat. But really, again, it's her ability to storytell, whether it's on the microphone or through her matches. She's just on a whole different level. She's not on a different level from Charlotte, though. Let's not get out of control here.
Right.
But she's good.
Yeah, Charlotte overall, I think, is
yes,
far more of the presence. She's got the size, the natural ability. But I think the way that Alexa carries herself is different. Just way more confident. Doesn't look like she's nervous at all. Charlotte, will get flustered once in a while with the fans.
It's true.
But yeah, they're the two best by far.
And she had the line of the night when she was thanking everybody up on the pedestal, and she got the Mickey James and said, fabulous Moolah Mae Young line. I lost it. That right there might have been the line of the night.
That was
Mickey,
pretty good.
You could tell Mickey didn't know that was coming because off microphone you can hear her say, did you think of that one yourself, really? So you could tell that that Mickey did not know that one was coming. She knew something was coming, but not that. And let's be real, she's not on their level. Come on, dude. She's a 5-time champion, and she still can hang with these girls, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, she was out there with Fox, Nia Jax, Emma, Sasha Banks, Mickey James, Bayley, Dana Brooke. They were all out there where they basically coordinators as the Raw Women's Champion. I believe she said it was the death of the queen and the beginning of a goddess now. So that was pretty clever too.
I don't like the goddess thing. It doesn't. I don't know why it doesn't fit for me. It just doesn't fit for me.
And Emma, Alicia Fox, and Dana Brooke had nothing to do really in that opening segment. They were just kind of standing around. And Mickey James, except to get that insult.
Except for Dana Brooke to sit there with like sinister, I'm a heel, so I should smile sinisterly during this heel promo and kind of agree with her at times. That's what she was doing. She was like all she was missing doing was like rubbing her hands together, like type crap.
And they had this amazing build up to this brawl, and as soon as that brawl started, they hit a commercial break and just totally took me out of it. That was the worst place commercial break of the whole show, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I fast forwarded through that, and I was actually impressed. The girls got 30 minutes. They got the first 30 minutes of Raw. I was pretty impressed with that, though. I'm very happy with that.
I like it to an extent, except the problem I thought is when you get these multi-person matches, it makes it seem less and less. You know what I mean? I would have rather had Alexa Bliss be in a one-on-one match because it just makes it seem more important. I felt like the first 45 minutes of the show just felt like nothing's really happening.
Yeah, but you got to save some of those one-on-one matches. Well, no, they could have given her any of those.
Emma, anybody.
Emma, that's true.
Yeah.
They could have.
But I did like that they did have her win because all the times they do that where someone wins the title and just loses the next night on Raw.
I hate that.
So so I thought that was great that they at least gave her some momentum, kind of built on her title win, and just kept that push going.
Yeah. And not to harp on this too much, I had 3 takeaways from this opening segment in the match. Dana Brooke had a couple nice little spots here. She looked very well protected in the 8-woman tag. And I absolutely love the fact that, what was it? It was yelling, Alicia Fox, where it's like, come on, get over here. And you can hear her go, I'm trying. I really thought that was pretty entertaining. It almost felt like you were you got a little bit of that backstage inside baseball feel there.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that.
But at the end, or I wouldn't say at the end, but at the beginning of the segment, and kind of even in the middle of the match, this Bayley kind of looking crying thing, that it's killing it for me. It looked like she was on the brink of tears. I get it's heartbreaking, but it was a clean win. And
she should be upset though.
That looked authentic to me. No, that didn't look like a work to me at all.
I hate
she
when
was legit trying to hold it back.
Yeah, I hate when people lose the titles and they act like it's no big deal. They should be upset. When they win, they should be happy. It should be something, important.
It might sound cheesy, guys, but for her, I've always bought into she really does this for the fans. Like she really buys into I'm out there representing all these young girls out there, and I disappointed them. Even though creative wrote the story this way for me to drop the title, I still feel I disappointed some of these people out there, and this really sucks. Like I got all of that. Those were like from those tears. Those were legit. That she was trying to hold them back. She could have turned it on if she wanted to, and you could tell she was trying to legit hold it back, like it wasn't supposed to really happen. Do you know what I mean? And I respect that. And
Alexa rubbing in her whole family being there. I thought it was. I mean, it was turning. I felt like it was turning fans back on Bayley's side when they've been turning against her.
Yes.
Over the last month or two. So. Yep. I think this feud can really rehab her. I don't know if Bayley was the one to pin tonight. Like, there's anyone else they could have done it with. They could have pinned Alicia Fox or Dana Brooke, but I think this could rehab her for sure.
Other than that, the only other takeaway from this match for me was the Mickie James jumping off the top rope. Did that look awkward to you guys? Almost like a dead fish flopping through the air at the end. Did you guys not see that either?
It's starting to rain outside. I'm gonna hang up and come right back. Okay.
All right. Again, I didn't think it was a big deal. That caught my eye. I was kind of weird that way, but other than that, that was the opening segment to Monday Night Raw. I like how they're giving the women the spotlight. I thought that was great. That division keeps growing. So. Yeah. Well. Again, the thing they've done forever is putting the women in multi-person matches. They did it here tonight, but they did give them a long promo, and I thought Alexa, nailed it out of the park. Enzo Amore and Big Cash come out. They're starting to cut a promo. Suddenly, they were attacked from behind by Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. I like this. It was a good little setup. We get a one-on-one match. What do you think of this opening segment, Raj? I thought it was a waste of time. It was just 50-50 booking. You did the same match yesterday, but changed. Yesterday it was Enzo pinning Gallows. Tonight it was Gallows pinning Enzo. And it was just a way to kill 15 minutes. I'm absolutely with you. It seems like we've seen the same thing week in and week out. And there's not a lot of moving parts to this division. There's not a lot of
it's the same 4 dancers every week, and I really wish we'd stop seeing one-on-ones and 2-on-1, all this stuff. Just do something different.
And you don't have to build every single match every single week. So if Enzo and Cass are in a feud with Gallows and Anderson, they don't have to be involved every single week. You could have Enzo get killed by Samoa Joe tonight, or Big Cass against somebody, and mix it up. It doesn't always have to be the same participants in the same variations every week until the pay-per-view, and then you start mixing it up. So
just give them a mic, let them go out there, talk for a little bit. None of them are even in the title picture right now, so they could just do backstage segments or interviews, and it would just be as effective.
Yeah. Matt, any thoughts on Enzo and Cass?
Same old crap.
That's
same old
basically
crap.
what I said.
Yeah, nothing spectacular. I like that they got jumped from behind, but I don't like that the guys who jumped from behind still got beat up somehow and thrown out of the ring.
It's the same thing that happens to them every week.
You cannot listen to me. You cannot get jumped from behind and somehow turn the tables. It is almost impossible in real life. If somebody comes behind you, gloms you behind your head, you're on the ground for a good minute there. You're not getting up and doing spots and having dudes chase you and you drop, do a low bridge and they go flying over the top rope like Mickey, some cartoon. It's ridiculous. Don't even do it. If you're not going to give them their opportunity to get steam on them, then don't do it at all. Don't let them come out there.
So what I was saying, Matt, earlier is just because Enzo and Cass are in a feud with Gallows and Anderson, it doesn't mean that they have to be involved with each other each and every week. You could have done a match with Enzo, and the example I brought up is you could have had Enzo get killed by Samoa Joe tonight, or something else. Just mix them up so they're not constantly. It feels like you're seeing the same thing.
100%. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think this is where the WWE misses the enhancement talent, guys. I really love the old 80s where, you put Enzo in with one of those guys and he's going to win, but it still tells a story. But
it's not even that. You have so many guys on the roster. You could have Big Cass against The Miz. You could really mix it up and have some fresh matches while moving some other storylines forward. Not every single storyline. Because the storylines they move forward aren't really moving forward. They're just trading wins and losses, and that doesn't do anything. So why not mix up the matches a little bit and then tell the stories more? You could do more backstage segments, find other ways to tell it, as opposed to just keeping these guys wrestling each other and just constantly being in the same segments week in and week out. I mean, again, it's the Hardys and Sheamus and Cesaro again tonight. It's 4 weeks in a row. Anyway.
Overkill. Let's move on. TJ Perkins approaches Neville backstage and basically questions Neville, basically almost chickening out last night. Neville throws it back on the ref, calls it unprofessionalism, says he's out of place, and then tells TJ Perkins it's time that he carries his own weight. He gets Austin Aries tonight. I thought this was a nice little backstage segment. Wasn't enough to save the show or do anything, but it was a different way to tell the story about the Neville Austin Aries rivalry that we're seeing.
Okay.
I like pretty much anything that Neville does. So
same here. This was good. We gave him more time tonight. We'll get to the Cruiserweight mix match tag, but I thought this was good. Like you said, anything he touches, I like. It's generally entertaining.
Now we get a segment that I thought should have been a lot better. To me, it kind of dragged on. Seth Rollins comes out and says he's done away with Triple H and Samoa Joe. Now he wants the Beast, Brock Lesnar. Out comes Finn Balor. I was really excited when it was just these two guys. I thought, wow, this is going to be cool. And then out comes, Dean Ambrose? And then I thought, oh, here we go. It's only a matter of seconds before The Miz comes out. And boom, out comes The Miz.
Good.
What was that?
If Dean Ambrose is out there, The Miz definitely should be out there because Dean
right.
Ambrose for me kills everything right now. There's something about him I just don't feel.
Miz dominated this promo, but the problem I had with it was when Seth Rollins and Finn Balor were out there, it felt like something big was happening with the world title.
Sure,
You know what I
definitely.
meant? And then it died down to the Intercontinental title level. And that's the one thing I didn't like. I thought Miz was great in this segment. I thought promo-wise, I thought he blew everybody in this segment away.
Of course he did.
But it seemed like we were seeing some movement for the world title, and then it kind of slipped away.
We were what? Saying what?
Seeing movement for what's going to happen with Lesnar and the world title and moving in that direction. And then it just,
What was supposed to happen? Those two go at it one-on-one just for free on Raw tonight, and then the winner gets Brock?
No, you build Finn and Seth until the next pay-per-view and have the winner of that get Brock.
When is that?
The next pay-per-view, June.
And Brock is on it?
No, Brock is July. So you could do the number one contender in June. And then go for Brock. I mean, right? It's supposed to be Brock and Braun for July, but I think you could hold Brock and Braun off until SummerSlam with the job that they've done with them. And you could have done Finn and Seth, and the winner gets Brock. And Brock's going to win, but at least you got a nice filler pay-per-view.
Here's the downside of that: you're not going to get Braun Strowman any higher than he is as far as who he's beat up recently. Do you know what I mean? He's beaten up the Golden Child.
Yeah. I mean, you could just have him destroy Dean Ambrose too, and just give him another name. But I mean, you're true. There's really no one else because Roman is at the top of the chain. Yeah, but Cena's gone all summer. But yes,
to me, I'm saying it's akin to beating John Cena's ass. Like when AJ came in and kept beating Cena, it's similar to that in that regard for me. Like this is their guy. And they're pulling out all the stops. Like, I was very surprised by last night's pin. Whether that dude was hurt or not, I still was surprised by it. And it says a lot what they think of Strowman. Yeah,
and it looks like they're doing Strowman versus Reigns at the next pay-per-view again in an ambulance match.
Interesting.
Are you happy with that, Matt?
No, well, I don't want to see Reigns get his steam back on I don't know how to get out of this. I'll be honest. I wouldn't know how to book them out of this. I think they're booking themselves into a corner. What happens if they trade with victories? What does that do for Strowman?
I don't think they have Strowman lose though.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I hope so too.
Because if Strowman's going to Lesnar the next month, then it doesn't make sense for him to lose to Reigns.
It doesn't.
Unless it's an ambulance match, so Strowman doesn't even have to get pinned. If you have Lesnar come out, beat the shit out of Strowman and throw Strowman in the ambulance, do something like that.
Yeah.
Roman gets the win technically, but, really it's to set that match up. But Brock doesn't come cheap. Here's the thing with Brock. I love Brock, and I think he adds so much whenever he's on. But why the hell did they waste all those appearances before WrestleMania where he would come out after the show fighting with the Big Show and wasting his appearance on that, as opposed to now that he's WWE champion and he's not on TV at all? When
I didn't know he was doing that.
Yeah, he was doing it for like a month.
Wow.
And then he was doing like some dark some house show matches against the Big Show. He did one against Kevin Owens. So they wasted all these appearances when the plan was for him to win the title, and then he's just gone. So it just makes no sense to me.
That is very interesting.
Would you guys be upset if they kept? Would you guys be upset if they kept Roman Reigns off of pay-per-view for just a month to really sell these injuries? Because I kind of feel like that might be the way to bring him back to a fighting chance. Is sell it that
anybody, I think, that's taking a beating like that should be off a pay-per-view or two. I don't care if it's Roman or anybody. I think it's good for that talent. You don't get many opportunities to get legit sympathy in this business. It's a work. The cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows it's a work. So when there's an opportunity to blur the line as far as somebody being, a little bit screwed up, because say what you will, Roman Reigns was spitting blood up on the wall, and that looked very real. Whether it was or not, I don't care. I thought it looked the part. And that's very hard to do in today's day and age. So you better milk it for all it's worth by having homeboys sit home and be hurt and giving us a report on how he's doing, that kind of thing. I don't know, something. But not back on TV right away.
Yeah, the problem that they have is they need to sell live event tickets, and Roman is kind of their top guy on Raw right now.
then you know what? Guess what? They don't see the bigger picture because they'll sell even more live event tickets the more over he is. The more over he's going to be is the more sympathy he's able to get because he's not getting it right now.
Hey, I agree. But that's why this seems like the type of angle you should do when they're taking off for a few months, when they, like they're filming a movie or doing whatever. But yeah, I'm sure Roman will be back next week.
Speaking of that, how has he not done a movie yet? You talk about movie star good looks. Like how is this guy not in a movie yet?
I'd almost think WWE wants to keep him away from movies because, that's why they're giving it to Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel right now. They don't want to lose someone to Hollywood.
Okay.
That's just I have no idea. That's just my guess.
Say what you will. If you don't know who The Rock was and you looked at Roman Reigns, who do you think looks better? You don't know anything about either one of them. Physically, who do you think's a more attractive leading man if you look at both guys? You don't know anything about either one.
You're talking The Rock 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, The Rock 20 years ago versus Roman Reigns now. Yeah, I agree. I'd go with Reigns now.
He's a better looking athlete. You could see why chicks dig him. Today's day and age is weird, so guys don't want to be him right now for some weird reason. But I think if I was like a producer, like I'd be all over this dude as one of my stars. I would love to do whatever it took to groom him, get him ready, and make him a star because he looks like a movie star in every sense of the word. He
looks like that dude from. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
He looks like that Khaleesi's. What's his name? Drago or?
100%, bro. Yes, yeah. He does. Yeah, he does. That dude's bad.
All right, let's get back on track here. Yes, but we go from what felt like was a Seth Rollins Finn Balor Universal Championship match to a #1 contendership for the Intercontinental Championship. I thought Dean Ambrose was a little cheeky here, but Miz, once again, he sold it where he basically said, under me, it was prestigious. Under you, Dean, it wasn't even on the last pay-per-view. I love that line.
I do and don't. I do because they always shoot on Miz that he can't wrestle and they make fun of him all the time. I'm glad he got to shoot back finally on one of these guys about something. But the downside is it shits on the title. Why wasn't the title defended? It doesn't matter who has it. The title should have been defended on every pay-per-view.
Yeah, it just brings up the point, and that just makes it look bad.
We had to make room for that House of Horrors match, guys.
What do you mean?
Ugh.
Oh,
it was,
yeah. And for the Enzo and Cass match.
Let's move on. We get a cruiserweight match with Swan, Jack Gallagher. You got was it Tuazaka? I butcher his name. Cesaro. There we go. Tony Nese, Brian Kendrick, and Nomadar. This was a match. Thanks.
I hate that guy.
Look, yeah. This was a match. It was good. To me, this was the start of the end. It really just started feeling like we were in quicksand this Monday Night Raw, and man, this started it was tough to keep my eyes open for this Raw.
Let's just get to the point. This is the point. They screwed up. They went back and they put the cruiserweights and they treated them just like they were treating them for the longest time, and we've gotten our hopes up, Raj, about how they're treating cruiserweights differently now because of Austin Aries and Neville getting a little bit spotlit in the division, a little bit better, a little bit more time, a little bit better placement on the card, which is important. So I was hoping and crossing my fingers that they would use that. Granted, the other guys aren't as good as these two. I understand that, but I was hoping they'd kind of use it as part of the pun blueprint to say, why don't we do this with some other guys like in the cruiserweight division? Why don't we watch where we put this damn stuff on the show? Because where we were bookending it, it doesn't work. The crowd sits on their hands. They're exhausted. They don't care about these people. Yada, yada, yada. It just feels like they're back to where they started with where they put them on the show.
Yeah, we've said this many times. When you just throw them all out there, it just shows that you don't care. And with me, when I can't get into these multi-person cruiserweight matches, even though the action was great, but it means nothing. So you're just watching cool moves and flips for a little while for something that means absolutely nothing. So, and they've been doing this for way too long.
Now, usually a big guy, a bigger, tall wrestler like me, in my spot, or my position rather, would say something along the lines like, you know, I don't like to watch these guys do their spots. I wish they toured more with psychology, told more stories in the ring. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a huge fucking mark for watching these dudes do their high spots sometimes because I don't care about them. These entertain me with some flip-flop and flying for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I know that's a horrible thing to say.
But at least give the match a purpose. Give it a reason. You know, that like you're just throwing these guys in. There's no story. It's just these guys are just wrestling.
Here's the thing: if they're not gonna give you guys the story, and you're not gonna have the balls to go out there and tell your own story, which Brian Kendrick's definitely smart enough and capable of doing. And he does it whenever he gets the opportunity to. He'll pick a body part, he'll work it. He does try to tell a story. The rest of them don't. So when that happens, at least guys, if you're watching this, do some moves, do some high impressive moves. At least entertain me.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to have any type of storyline, at least do some flip-flop flying, some crazy triple Lindy flips off the top of the arena to entertain Matt Morgan. Because the rest of this stuff is garbage and it's hard to watch. And it's not their fault. It's creators' fault for not making us care about these guys.
Yeah.
This had the feel of a rain delay in a baseball game, and you go right out of it into the 7th inning stretch and take me out to the ball game. And then when the baseball finally starts, you're exhausted.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I know you took a long time to think that one up. But
yeah.
You bought me some time with the triple Lindy comment. I that was good. We get Sheamus and Cesaro come out with their new looks. I like the look, guys. That borderline biker look. They basically come out and do the whole "we never liked the fans" and Cesaro tried too hard stuff. They bag on the Hardy Boys a little bit. Once again, real quick, saying this could have been way better than it off. It was slow. It was ill paced, and they seemed like they were pushing a little bit too hard to try to get that heel point of view across to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. At least when you turn heel, at least have a reason. So at least they had something. I thought Matt's promo was pretty bad when he came out.
Oh, awful.
It's like unbroken Matt. You forget, his previous WWE run. His promos aren't that good. I mean, they're very interesting and different when he's the broken character, but when he's not, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, all he does is throw his hand up in the air and do his V1 gimmick. It's pretty boring compared to what we've seen him do, right?
Yeah, and at least they did the delete thing and they went out. But we'll have to see how they if and when they incorporate that. We'll have to see how they do it because WWE doesn't always. Just look at the NWO; they had the biggest angle, in wrestling history, and what they did with that. So we'll have to wait and see.
Did they buy the gimmick or no? Because I kind of heard, they did, and then maybe they didn't, and I don't know.
I don't think anyone knows right now. Rebby Hardy says they didn't. They did not.
Okay. That was the last I heard of it.
Rebby Hardy is basically saying they own it and they don't need to buy it. Is pretty much what they're saying.
Okay.
But I don't see how that's possible because it did happen on Impact Television, and no matter what you create, and we've said this about WWE. WWE won't allow Cody Rhodes to use Rhodes, which Dusty Rhodes was using Rhodes way before he was ever with.
Hasn't he been calling?
Hello.
Rhodes this whole time? Can you?
No, he's Cody.
Yep.
He can be Cody Rhodes on indies where it's not on television, but on Impact and ROH, he's just Cody. But when they put him, his wife's name is Brandy Rhodes, so they can call them Cody and Brandy Rhodes to get around it. But he can't be called Cody Rhodes, so they just call him Cody.
That's so cheesy and that's so small,
Yeah,
I get protecting your intellectual properties. I understand that, and I understand the importance of it. But at the same time, there's certain extremes that you guys, I wish they would just go, okay, the Dudley Boys, they came up with that, and ECW, let's let them go be the Dudley Boys, because that's who they are before they came to us. But no, they had to be Team 3D, and they held that on, that's when it started, when I really started noticing it being a little chintzy.
Yeah, but that's the way it is, so that's why I can't see Impact just giving up that gimmick, because it was done on their television. I don't know, their contracts. I don't know if they had something that allowed him to keep anything that intellectually that he came up with, but we'll see. We haven't seen the gimmick yet, so who knows?
Matt, let me ask you this question. In all your years of wrestling, with this kind of protection for people's intellectual property, have you ever seen a wrestler have a good idea like that and choose not to say anything about it because they're afraid that the company may own it?
Oh, good question. Me, because the blueprint, you can't copyright it. It's a thing. You know what I mean? It's my moniker per se, but it's something that can't be copyrighted or trademarked. Is what I found out. But I'm trying to think of other guys. It's like, not that I can remember, but that's a great question. I'm sure there has to.
I would just think you wouldn't want to, because if you have a chance to become a star, you're just like, let's use it. You take it, even if they own it.
I think it's somebody that's already a star that maybe has another idea, and then maybe pulls back from it. I don't know. I was always kind of scared of using the genetic. I've never really used it much, but of introducing the genetic giant as one of my monikers as well. And then, I was always kind of holding on to that if I ever went back to WWE,
Mm-hmm.
But I never went back. So I started using it at TNA. But like at first, when I first went to TNA, I never put that out there at all, And then when I started doing it to 2010 or 2011, they put it on t-shirts and crap like that. But you know what I'm saying? There was a hesitation at first. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. We get a Miz segment backstage where he's basically talking about how he's preparing for the match. The camera pans away, comes back.
Can I say something real quick before I forget?
Yes.
This is funny. When I got released from WWE, at the same time Mark Jindrak did, we did this show called Mark and Matt Live. It was an internet show that we had these 4 camera guys that would follow us to Japan, everywhere, indie shows, screwing around, going to nightclubs, drinking, doing whatever. And it was a pretty funny show, but it was really expensive to run. And we got a cease and desist from WWE where they actually told me about my name, Matt Morgan.
Really?
And I was like, we had to send something back. We're like, that's his real name, this is his birth certificate. His name is Matthew Morgan, So I wonder if they do that just as a way to intimidate people. Like, okay, I'll stop using that. Without anybody really calling their bluff on it, I haven't heard them doing that with people's real names very often, but I did hear it right around that time because there were so many of us that got released on that like Black Friday or whatever the hell it was called many years ago, 2005. And like I want to say Chuck Palumbo. No, there's a couple others too. They're just trying to like take our shoot names.
Wow, that's crazy. That's probably when they started changing everybody's names.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. One thing real quick about this Miz backstage promo. Do you think Miz, of all the full-time guys, so I'm not counting John Cena, the guys that are full-time week in, week out, do you think he's the best promo guy in the company right now?
How
yes.
Who's better?
Yeah, I can't think of anyone.
He's money. He is money. God, I can't think of anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I would even, in my opinion, I think he's better than John Cena. The way he adapts and changes, and not one promo is ever the same. I'm sorry.
When Cena turns it on, I feel like there's no one better. But
he's got hokey fire, man. I don't know. Maybe because I've seen the same Cena promo so many times. It's hard to buy. He's very good. Like people think like when he fires up, right? He becomes ultra babyface, angry John Cena, and I always think it's kind of phony.
Yeah. Well, to me, it just seems like a superstar kind of promo as opposed to a funny, entertaining promo. When Cena wants to do it, but again, if we're competing Miz with Cena, that's pretty high praise.
It is. I honestly think that Miz all around is a little bit more adept. I think he can handle multiple different types of promos.
Yeah.
Slightly better.
Let me ask you this then. In 10 years after The Miz retires, do you think we'll talk about The Miz being one of the greatest of all times after he retires? Because now we can't appreciate it, but you don't think so?
All right.
I wish we could.
I'm just asking.
No, it will not happen.
No.
The
body of
just
work
throwing it
speaks
out
for
there.
itself. He's good on promos, but unless he has an incredible run over the next 10 years, no.
He's got to have, he's got to have another world title run.
And a real world title run, not one where you're a transitional champion.
Right.
Yeah, you can't slip a banana peel that Rock threw out in front of him. He slips and lands on John Cena for 3 seconds, and he wins the match.
So,
you know.
But I will say this: I think Miz is a better promo than Bray Wyatt. We haven't gotten to that yet, but.
Oh, wait a minute! Hang on! I take back my comment.
All right. We'll get to that in a minute.
All right.
Bray Wyatt's better.
All right. So we get a quick Miz backstage segment where it turns out Dean Ambrose is standing there holding the mic. Que sera, sera, let's move on. Apollo Crews defeats Heath Slater, and I gotta tell you, I'm really digging this Titus O'Neil as a manager thing right now. This Titus brand, if he could get another wrestler or two, I could really go along with this storyline because I'm finding myself going, I miss an old school manager, and Titus is really kind of giving me that right now.
I kind of agree. It gives them something, and I'd like to see Apollo. I'd like to see Apollo be a heel, and if Titus kind of turns him in that direction, then at least it's something.
And when he hits his high stuff, he's got to show off like no business. Billy Gunn's really good at that. The argument is when you're a heel, you got to stop doing the fancy crap in the ring. If you can do anything fancy, like move set wise, you got to really, not do it. And if you do, you got to make a huge deal about how great you are. Billy Gunn was really excellent at doing that. And he would be very wise to watch some of his stuff. Because if he's a heel, I still want him to do all his stuff, but then he's got to saunter around the ring bragging about that crap for 5 minutes at a clip.
Well, it's kind of like what Neville does, right? He'll do a lot of his stuff, but when he's going for the shooting star press, or I mean the red arrow, he just get down and not do it,
Or to pull it away, as I say, or he takes it away from the fans. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome. Neville is freaking great too. I can't say that enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really found his stroke right here with being a heel. But Apollo Crews goes over Heath Slater. Then we get Kurt Angle coming out. He's kind of gets into some talking, and Bray Wyatt shows up. Bray Wyatt basically says he's here as a savior. Kurt, you can either walk with me or get out of my way. Kurt basically says this is my show. Just remember that. I don't know what you have planned, and this was okay, but bad placement. The show was already running through quicksand for me. Normally, I love a good Bray Wyatt promo. This just didn't do anything much for me.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, let's get into it. You say you think Bray Wyatt's a better promo than The Miz?
I think ultimately who is part of a good promo is also who makes you believe more in their character. Okay, and I don't think anybody can touch Bray Wyatt as far as who has a better hold on their own character.
But he does not do a single thing to make me care about who he's wrestling or the feud that he's in. It's always like serpents and this and that. Whereas Miz, it's getting personal. It's bringing up personal stuff. And Bray, it's been the same promo for 4 years.
Yeah. You can say the same thing about Jake Roberts.
No. Jake would personalize it to the opponent. Bray is talking about
does Bray.
Dragons and hell and the birds and coming to get you. Nothing. You rarely hear the wrestler's actual name in the promo. It's all this weird crap. and look, I think his delivery is great. It's just been done for so long, and you just come out of it like, what the hell was the point of that? What is that supposed to get me excited for?
Because I don't know. I'm a fan of someone with a character. We bitch and moan that there's no characters. Here's a dude who's entrenched in a character, and you're making fun of. That's everybody's prerogative. You ain't the only one. I know tons of fans do. Jerry the King Lawler almost did the other on the post pay-per-view Monday Night Raw gimmick last night. talking about, I was hoping not to hear any corny, spooky monster music, on the thing. And I was like, oh, geez, that's exactly what it was. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm rooting for him. Maybe I don't know why. I just think he's a better. Okay, to be a good promo, yes, you are correct. You have to be able to do the what, where, and the why, right? You've got to get all those points established and get your opponent over in the process and make people pay to either want to see them beat you or see them do well and kick your butt all over the place, and or the conclusion to your beef with that said opponent. That's the important part of a promo, and Miz is better at that. You're absolutely correct. But
I think a braid can just tweak it some to where it makes a little more sense. It's not as much of the the horror stuff. I think it would work better. But I get your point, Matt, because he does deliver it perfect. You would think that's how he is in real life because it's not. It doesn't feel like he's acting. It feels like that's who he really is. But it doesn't get me excited about his matches.
I'll say this. It almost feels like you can tell when he's excited about something because his best work was when he hyped that Undertaker match all by himself. He had me entertained, and I really felt like he was excited. And then during this Randy Orton stuff, it just felt like he was going through the steps that he just couldn't wait to go on something else.
You want to hear something crazy? He loved that storyline in real life. Loved that storyline. Both of them did.
Bray and Undertaker?
No, Bray and Randy.
Bray and Randy. Oh no, they did, and that was all right. I'll leave it.
That's a huh?
I think that was the worst upper card storyline in years.
I wouldn't say worse. I think it had the most potential because one of my all-time favorite storylines is one of the worst in history. It hit me at the right time was the Black Scorpion stuff. And
what
the old I was a kid.
I was into it. I was into it, but until
I was into the Andre Body Slam Challenge versus John Studd. So okay,
yeah, that was awesome too.
We all had our one storyline that we loved.
But there's a difference, you're bringing up these storylines that the fans in the crowd were cheering and going crazy for too at the time. It's not like everyone booed it, we loved it, and we remember it fondly. And like this stuff with Orton and Wyatt, everyone's crapping on it now. It's not like 15 years from now they're gonna be like, oh well, that was actually pretty cool. Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe
different day and age.
I was just saying potential.
We are a cynical era right now. We're in one.
Yeah.
Very cynical. Let's very negative more times than not. I'm not saying us here on the show are, but in general we are.
Yeah.
Let's go back to this Kurt Angle promo. At the very beginning, he said something interesting, and I want to ask you, Raj, if this was a work or real thing. But he said Braun Strowman suffered a torn rotator cuff last night.
No, those are all worked in injuries.
Okay.
Because remember they did the post-match thing with him getting hit in the ambulance or whatever. So right. It's all storyline. That's good. That was a pretty brutal match. It was good to keep them both up.
Let's hit him with you, Mark.
Go. I deserve it. I had to ask.
That's the best, dude. That's the best. I would love to be able to be legitimately, believe in something. That's a work. That's the best if you're able to get that. As a fan,
I still believe in Santa Claus.
Dude, I remember when Shawn Michaels collapsed. Do you remember that time when that match with Owen Hart?
I thought that was as legit as it got.
His name here, I was all concerned. I was worried. I was,
For real.
Like, what's going to happen? It's the best when they can get you. I agree.
All right, let's move on. We have
pictures of me. You guys see that?
What's that?
Nothing.
I think he's excited about his physique.
Go ahead.
Pictures. Let's move on to another backstage segment with Dean Ambrose channeling his inner 1980s, early 1990s WWF interviewer. He interviewed Seth Rollins, which I thought this was great. This was great because it brought up old tension. They both were faces, but in this interview, it didn't seem that way. It seemed like there was a lot of old hostility that still needs to be hashed out in that ring.
Son of a B. Wait, I missed that. Wait, what was it?
Dean Ambrose interviewed Seth Rollins like he was he was Mean Gene Okerlund. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go back and watch that. How the hell did I miss that? Oh,
Yeah.
man.
It was great. I thought this was one of the true highlights because he basically, Dean Ambrose says, you know, if you win this, do you think you could take my title? He's like, yeah, I think I could take it. And a little bit more back and forth. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I thought so too.
I feel like Seth is still missing a step as a babyface.
Oh,
but
can I say something? I forgot.
Sure.
Seth Rollins' promo tonight. Now that you bring it up, Raj, I did not feel that was scripted one bit about stepping. You know, people trying to make himself very relatable in what he was saying. I found what he said incredibly relatable. How when things suck in life, how we all just want to curl up in a ball and just stay the entire weekend in your bed. You do not want Monday to come. You don't want to face with that crap that's coming with your job or school or whatever. And you'd rather just tune out the world, right? Like, I bought into that hook, line, and sinker. I felt every word he said. It was not that was not a written out promo. I'm almost positive that was not word for word written out for him.
It definitely didn't seem forced. He didn't feel like he was. It seemed like he was using his own words for sure.
I really believed in what he was saying, and the crowd was with him because he's talking to him. You know, so, you know, like he was talking to them. But it was a much different promo for him. He was speaking. It felt like a conversation back and forth with him and that audience. And when you're able to do that, that's usually a money promo. I'm not saying this was some world beater CM Punk promo here, okay? But at the same time, it doesn't have to be. He needs to continue cutting promos like that, where he's relatable as a babyface and likable as a babyface, and we need to know a little bit more about him as a babyface. And that's how you get there, by being real on the mic when you get an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You can definitely tell and relate with these guys. Let's move on. Austin Aries defeats T.J. Perkins by submission. After the match, T.J. Perkins attacks Austin Aries again. Meh. Once again, this is just one of those things that I thought was a great match. You knew Perkins is really pushing this heel turn. That it is what it is.
What are you asking? Do I like the heel turn, or is this what it is?
I was just setting it up. I mean, if you can chime in.
Sorry, I think I swung in there. Sorry. Perkins as a heel is better than he was as a face, is I guess all I can come up with.
He was very forgettable as a face.
Yeah, and still kind of corny wearing cartoon T-shirts, but that's not his fault. That's their fault. The match was awesome. I love the match. And what else is there really to say? You know, everything else is somewhat uncreative. But some of it's also on him. He's in that backstage pre-tape area, cutting a promo with what's his name, Neville. There's a big difference. Did you not see that? And it's not. And I don't want to hear, well, Neville's being really intense and overly heelish right now. So that's the difference. No, one is confident and one is not, and it is very black and white to me.
Yep, Raj.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just there for me. They've faced each other so many times already. TJ Perkins needs to get rid of that music. You know, as a heel and coming to that Qbert soundtrack has got to go.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
When was the last time someone said Qbert? I bet you it's been a while.
Dude, I would have said Mario Brothers. I ain't too far. Yeah.
Let's move on. Dean Ambrose asks Finn Balor in a backstage interview if he's nervous. Balor says he's not. We get an Ambrose comedy act where he basically hands Finn a donut, says eat the carb. Balor takes a bite and shakes it off and moves on. So we get a drifter sighting in this too.
Yeah. Is this going to be like Emma, where it's just teased for 6 months and then they change his gimmick?
That'll be the best. I don't see how this guy fits on the show. Where does he fit on the show? He better not be taking.
I don't care. I like what he's doing. If he keeps doing this, I like it. I think this is funny.
Take somebody's space out. You take an Enzo and Kaz out. Who are you taking out? On a weekly
I don't
basis?
think you have to take anybody out for what he's doing now.
You absolutely do. There's only so much room and so many segments, so many minutes per segment.
You know what would be pretty
No,
cool is one day backstage he's drifting around, then just nails somebody upside the head with the guitar.
He's drifting around.
But then he goes all honky tonk man, you know, just bam. So while someone's being interviewed, that'd be pretty awesome, actually.
But that's so come on.
But what he's doing,
isn't that obvious? Isn't that an obvious thing for him to do? No.
Not if like 6 weeks he hasn't done anything. Then you might not see it coming.
Backstage.
but no, what he's doing now, just walking through other people's interview segment, he's not taking a spot away from anybody. Nobody else is doing that.
That's not what I'm saying. When it's time for him to come to TV and be a character, an on-air personality, whatever you want to call it, he's got to take somebody's spot. Whose?
I don't know who's, but I like the.
O'Dowd's don't get no airtime.
But I like the fact that they're setting him up for people that don't watch, NXT. They're really starting to. This is old school building of a character, one block at a time.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he does, if he's worth it. I mean, because if as we've seen, if you suck, you're on Superstars or whatever main event now. But,
well, hey, Raj. What was the name of his character in NXT when he came back as
El Vagabundo or something like that?
Yes, that character would be so over, and that's what he needs to do. That's the biggest reaction he's ever gotten. They should have stuck with that somehow.
But that's because they knew the Drifter first. If he just randomly came out as El Vagabundo.
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Yes.
El Vagabundo? Anyway.
Vagabond. The word is vagabond, right? So it's from that word.
Yes.
Right.
Well, listen, no, you're right. So to give him 1 or 2 weeks of he's the Drifter in a match, some crap like that, and nobody cares about him. And yeah, you're right. How does he get kicked out of Raw and then come back as that? I don't know. Somehow it's got to happen because that thing is hilarious.
Did you hear Cody Rhodes was talking about how someone pitched the idea of him being Cody Rhodes on Raw and Stardust on SmackDown, and he was going to do, but when they did the brand split, and then
no, I didn't.
It's on the site. You should check it. I think it was
that would have been cool.
Yeah, but I'm guessing so he said one person higher up shot it down. But you could do that with the Drifter. Have him be the Drifter on Raw and El Vagabundo on SmackDown. But I think we've talked about Drifter for way too long.
All right, guys. DDPY Yoga has changed countless lives, and many more on the past and current roster has benefited immensely from it. Guys like Jake the Snake Roberts, Scott Hall, Chris Jericho. Have you seen Mick Foley lately? Well, you can try DDPY Yoga.
Have you seen AJ Styles? Yeah. Have you seen AJ Styles lately?
Yeah, we were going to talk about AJ here too. They have this awesome Max Pack, which is also used by AJ Styles, Mick Foley. Tons of other superstars are using it. DDPY Yoga, for a limited time, you can get the DVDs for 25% off. You can get a 3-month full access to DDPY Yoga Now app. And if you're only into the digital, you can just get the DDPY Yoga app for 25% off. You can also buy the Max Pack or Combo Pack for 25% off. You can get 50% off the second one if you sign up at ddpyyoga.com/wrestling inc. DDPY has changed many more lives, as I said, current and roster. Just check it out. Go to ddpyyoga.com/wrestling inc. All right, guys.
You look at Chris Jericho. His, he's about to take off, but this run probably wouldn't have happened without DDP Yoga.
Nope.
I mean, he flat out said his back, he couldn't do it, and he went to DDP. DDP put him on the program, and he's had the best run that he's had. So and with AJ Styles, when his back was so jacked in Japan, and he's putting on 5-star matches and arguably the best wrestler in WWE right now. So
not arguably is.
Yeah, Nakamura is up there too.
You're high. He cannot touch AJ all around. No way. Nakamura's money, but he is no AJ. I'm sorry. AJ could work anybody and get them over. Nakamura cannot do the same.
All right. That's a good point. All right. Forget the argument.
We get another.
The best.
Can we talk about, we have another sponsor that we want to talk about. It's called Hooked on Phonics that my friend over here is going to go get so he can read the damn stuff correctly.
You're right. Look, I had off a small phone. My bad. Hey, It's a lot better than last week, okay, pal?
I don't know about that.
Oh, last week was brutal. Listen, last week it was the worst live read ever. This week was a little bit better.
DDPyoga.com/wrestling inc. It works, and
there we go.
It's one of those that sometimes if you feel your life is out of balance and you just can't get motivated, things are, you're just not where you want to be. Sometimes a workout program, getting in the gym, DDPY, I mean, that could be for you, and it's definitely worth a shot, especially with the deal that they got going on right now. So DDPyoga.com/wrestling inc.
What Raj says. Yeah, thanks, Raj. Let's move on. Goldust R-Truth tells Kurt Angle again they want to challenge the Hardy Boys. Kurt Angle basically says what everybody was thinking. Your win-loss record does not warrant it. Goldust says he'll do it.
That was awesome.
Yes, it was.
We were all waiting for it. I think we even talked before about how do these guys just come out and challenge. But thank you, Kurt Angle, for at least calling them out on that. Yep. But it was good. Goldust says they'll do whatever it takes to prove themselves. Let's see. Angle gives them an in and tells them there'll be a tag team turmoil match next week. Winner becomes a #1 contender for the Raw Tag Team Champions. They're in. Listen, I think one of these two are taking the pin in that match. That's just my opinion. No way they win, right?
I think they do.
You think who wins? Who?
I think R-Truth and Goldust.
Well, you know what? Weirder things have happened. Who
are they wrestling? Did they say?
I didn't hear.
Are they really going to jeopardize putting 4 older talents, if you will, in the ring like that?
Well, this is for a match on Raw, right? Did they say it was for a pay-per-view match, or?
I thought it's to get who faces the Hardys.
Yes, but it could be for the next week on Raw. So
they're going to chance putting 4 guys by Golden Truth winning. Those 2 against the Hardys. You have 4 older statesmen, if you will, in the ring, and no new talent initiative, no young fresh faces involved in their top tag team angle.
Yeah, but if it's a throwaway match 1 week on Raw, what's the alternative? You've seen all the other ones already a bunch of times.
With you. I'm trying to think of their live. Whenever I say these things, I'm trying to think what I think they're thinking, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Well, the good news is, between the 4 of them, there's over 320 years of wrestling experience in the ring. That's how old they are.
I'm younger than them, but not by much. So, I can't be talking smack. So, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to think of it as WWE, their whole, you've got to be under 25 years old and kind of crap.
Do you feel like this is Raw trying to play catch up with SmackDown, doing something that they're doing with Jinder Mahal?
No, Jinder Mahal's still young, man. He's still young, even though he's been there for.
But as far as someone from an 0-50 record to put him in a title match, because I don't think Golden Truth has won a match on television.
No, because both of those 2 have main evented before in singles acts. Those 2 have been over already as singles acts. That they're not even similar to him whatsoever. Win-loss record, okay, maybe I could see that. But as talents, it's not even debatable. Like, Jinder came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Those 2 were stars, especially Stardust. Stardust is a Hall of Famer.
Goldust, yeah.
Cool. What did I say, Stardust? Jesus.
Yeah.
Goldust. Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up with a little bit of a main event action where we get the triple threat: Miz, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins. I thought this was a very entertaining match. They hit some rough spots in this Raw, but they finished up pretty strong, and I really liked the ending too. What do you guys think?
That match, they tore the house down. That's
what
I think of that match. I'm actually after I'm done, I'm going to watch it one more time. That match was that good.
I thought. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Just probably going to say it was an incredible match. Great storytelling. I cannot believe that Rollins ate Joe's. God, what do we used to call it? It's like Uranagi on the freaking pads.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Those pads don't feel good. There's just a thump to it, man. That rattles your brain. But
well, that's why all those suicide dives to the outside, when you see them and they barely hit them, and they take most of the fall to those mats. If you were just to fall on one of those mats right now, it hurts. It's not it's not a big cushiony thing.
I'll give you one time I did through a table. I went to do a leg drop from the top rope to the outside of the ring on Bubba Ray Dudley when he was at TNA with us. He moved out of the way. I went through the table. I crashed and burned. I landed on my ass, and I literally took my disc. My L5 is no more. It shattered. And I landed on those pads. And one can say, well, you went through the table. Well, the table softens the blow when you're heavier like me, to a degree.
Yeah.
When you're coming off the top rope or something like that. So, dude, I have no more L5 because of that one leg drop, you know? And that's landing on the pads with the table to cushion it a little bit, you know? Those pads, just to give you an idea, that sucks. There's no good, great bump out there.
Yeah. No, but this match I thought was just awesome. I thought it had the Miz in it, but it was better than Rollins and Balor at SummerSlam. No, what I'm saying is this is better than Rollins and Balor at SummerSlam, but Miz wasn't in that match. He was in this one. So it's not apples to apples, but it still was better than their previous match. And I thought this was great. I thought Miz was really good. I mean, the whole match.
Hold his own. I don't know when he's going to get the respect that he can go in the ring. I mean, guys like CM Punk bury him and said crappy things about him over the years, and at the time, rightfully so. I mean, he couldn't hold a candle to Punk as far as in-ring action goes, but still, he's improved so much. I don't know when the guy's going to get his just due of improving so much from the fans.
Yeah, because I feel like his matches have gotten a lot better over the past year. You know what I mean?
There's been 3 significant improvements that I remember. I remember the ECW when he was tagging with Morrison. When he really started improving around that time, toward the end of their tag team. Mm-hmm. Then I remember him improving when he became tag team champions with Big Show, if you remember. Mm-hmm. Remember that? He got really confident and really much better in the ring. And I'm noticing it again, I want to say maybe 4 times, because I remember it again, I want to say this is the last time. You're right, about a year ago. This last year.
Yeah, I feel like where you're starting to hear, and I hate the "this is awesome" chants, but now you're starting to hear him in his matches where you wouldn't have before. And like that match he had with Dolph Ziggler last year, and he's coming around for sure, and he's getting there. You know, we were saying I don't see him being an all-time great or anything, but if he's given the opportunity, his matches keep improving, and he maybe gets a little more serious, so he's not getting his ass kicked at the end of every Miz TV.
Right.
You know, it could be something. But another great thing with this match is you set off 3 big feuds. I mean, Samoa Joe and Rollins were already kind of feuding, but now you got Balor and Bray Wyatt kind of officially underway. I like that way better than Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose. And now you got Dean Ambrose and The Miz, which they've done, but at least it's something, and The Miz, he'll make it entertaining.
I mean, I don't know what it is. What's up with? Let me ask you guys. What is the big thing about Dean Ambrose? I remember him as Johnny Moxley on the Indies, and I'd watched some of his promos on YouTube. I think it was the Ring of Honor or some other indie companies. I was pretty blown away by his promos. I thought he was really entertaining and funny and very confident. He's a good, deep promo voice. You know, they always say Shawn Michaels has like this really deep voice. Kevin Nash is always like, I can't believe that big voice comes out of this little guy. I kind of feel the same way about him. He has like this great promo voice, and he was a great promo on these YouTube videos I saw of him. But then when he came to WWE, everybody was like really into him, and I don't know what it is that you guys. How do you guys see him on the same level as a Reigns and Rollins? I don't see it. I don't get it.
I don't anymore. But when the Shield used to cut those promos, and when Dean Ambrose would be talking, I thought he really stood out in those Shield promos. And then once they split up, I mean, I see Reigns and Rollins miles ahead of Dean Ambrose. And I don't know if it's Dean Ambrose being a babyface and trying to be too cutesy and with the kind of corny comedy, and just needing to have more of an edge, because he had that like grittiness and stuff when he was with the Shield, and he really stood out. I thought he was like the breakthrough star. Yeah, exactly.
You know, I get the vibe. This is just like the Stone Cold years where he was with Vince McMahon playing the banjo and trying to be all cutesy. This oozes all that to me when I see him do all that stuff. That it's just slapsticky.
But Austin was awesome when he did it, though.
And he had full control of that. He wanted it.
I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying that's the shtick I kind of feel like Ambrose is going for.
That really goofy comedy.
Yes.
Austin could pull it off because he already had that run as, as an established top superstar guy. Ambrose hasn't. So, and I feel like it's still in there, and he needs a heel turn bad or something. He needs to change his wardrobe. Yes. He just looks hungover all the time.
He does. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Raj, what else do we have going on?
I don't know. I think we've gone pretty late. We're gonna be back on Wednesday. Glenn will be joining us. He'll be back to give us the SmackDown experiences, and I think we'll take a lot more questions on Wednesday because we ran a little late tonight.
Nobody cares about Glenn being at SmackDown. So I want to reiterate that for the 5th time tonight.
Oh, but they care about Glenn doing the DDP plug.
Look, I am the first one to say it. If I'm ever welcome back to host the Monday Night Show, Raj will do the plug, right? I think we're all right with that. Trust me.
Why don't I ever get the opportunity to give these plugs ever?
I know. I
never don't worry about it.
They don't trust me. They think I'm a litter.
All right. You got the next one, man.
Please
give it to me.
All right.
Can't do any worse than me.
All right, guys. So yeah, live show Wednesday, and we got a few weeks off from WWE pay-per-view, so it's a little break. So, but still a bunch of stuff coming up on the site. I got my interview with Justin Roberts. The first part will be up, I think, tomorrow.
Did you read his book yet?
Yeah, I've been reading it. I'm about a quarter of the way through, but it's really good.
Send it to me when you're done.
Okay, yeah, we'll do. It's really good.
Can I just throw one thing in? If everybody's listening to this on iTunes, head over to iTunes. Please subscribe, rate 5 stars, and leave a comment. It helps wrestling podcasts move up in the algorithms, in the rankings. And we just like to see ourselves move up. So I just asking you guys to do that. It's free, and it helps the podcast out a lot. So please.
And Dennis, what do you got with your podcast this week with Petey Williams?
We're gonna talk a little bit about Payback. I'm gonna prod him some more because they kind of offered him a contract in TNA, and he's ho humming about going back or not. So each week I kind of prod him and beg him to go back because that's the only way I'm gonna get famous is ride his coattails. So
tell him how he could never in a million years put me in a Canadian destroyer. Ask him how would we be able to pull that one off.
I will absolutely ask him that when we record in the morning. Absolutely.
Coolest finisher, by the way. I love this finisher.
He's so mad that Bagwell stole it.
Sick.
I'm not coordinated enough to take
it.
But yeah, we're going to just do a little Payback review and talk about where we would go from there.
All right, so check that on Wrestling Inc. It'll be Thursday or Friday. That one will be up. All right, guys. Everyone have a good night. We'll see you next time.